you very much, everybody, for joining the BizEquity November webinar refresher. We're going to be going over the Success Center with everybody today. That'll be our focus. The success story I'm going to share with you, maybe some best practices in the tool. Any questions you have along the way, feel free to shoot them in the chat at the end of the 15 minutes. I'll check and answer any questions we have. So just quickly, remember to log into your BizEquity account. You're going to go to your white label. I'm at mine. This is Brian Martin, Director of Success here at BizEquity. So I'm martin.bizequity.com. Click the little button up top, brings you home. This is where you start the 7-step process. So refresh your company consoles where any companies you valued will live, as well as that smart link that you would send out to business owners to have them fill out their own valuations. Search prospects is the prospecting map, and what we're focusing on today is the third piece, which is the Success Center. First thing I sort of wanted to cover was anybody that's not familiar with Success Center, or maybe who hasn't spent too much time in here. It's essentially a library of content that we've created to help you as a user be successful using the BizEquity platform. Some of sort of the highlights of it. But first thing I wanted to cover was one of our users, Lou, in Florida, had some success at a recent trade show, and sort of his story was, he went to a trade show and he focuses primarily on car washes. So he went to a car wash convention, and prior to the show he was able to get the attendee list, and he sent out an email. The email was from our marketing slick. So when you come in here, marketing slick, the 10 reasons for a business valuation. Now, one thing that we do that's pretty unique and I think helps everybody be successful is we leave space all the documents so you can brand these to yourselves. So, we've sort of done the heavy lifting by creating and formatting the document. However, we're going to give you the space. So Lou put his business's information down here. He's a wealth advisor, insurance agent, so he put his information here, emailed this out to business owners that were attending the car seminar. And being, now he sort of has gotten them a little bit warm on the idea of running a business valuation. Many of you know, the business valuation is important for the business owner, but a lot of times convincing them to do one, the hardest hurdle that you're going to have to overcome. So he got people warm to the idea. He said he came back from the convention with 18 new leads that he wouldn't have had. Next thing that he leveraged, so he sent this out as an email prior to the event. The thing he leveraged was a sample report. So he printed out sample reports. Now, one thing he did, this is something we'll always recommend, is sample reports in here are going to be generic. They don't have any logos. They all say sample. That's just because every one of our users has access to the Success Center. So what he did was he ran a test company, just called it test. And in your onboarding call, I most likely let you know that running a test company wouldn't count against your company's valuations. So it wouldn't negatively towards your allotment per year. In that case, when you run a test company, you're going to be given your own brand report. So it's going to have your logo on there and your name rather than these companies in the Success Center. So what he did, he printed, I think he said 15 or 20 sample reports, and that's sort of how he got the conversation started. So business owners came up to his booth. Some of them went to the idea of business valuation. After that, 10 reasons, top reasons to run a business valuation. Next thing he showed them was the actual valuation report. So that's sort of the stepping stone that he used for an in-person event to be successful with the tool. Just a nice story. He's sold some insurance policies from that, and that's sort of our goal is to help you leverage what your current business is and help you sort of attract new clients in the business owner space. There probably is some new stuff in the Success Center since you've last been in, so we'll just start at the top here. Presentation. And a lot of this might be reviewed for your onboarding call, really depending on how long you're a user. The advisor presentation is great. It's a PowerPoint specifically about BizEquity, but what it's about is business valuation in general. So just like all of the content in here, we leave space for you to bend it to yourself. So right here we have a place for you to insert your logo. So what's your business worth and why it matters. So not only do we create the PowerPoint here for you, and it's all about why business valuation is important. We have some users that use this as a template. They're going to add some of their own slides, because there might be other things they'd like to talk to prospects about. The idea being this just gives you the bulk of the work is done. Like we said, the heavy lifting is done, and we've even given you speaker notes. So what to say on each slide. We're trying to make this as plug and play as possible. We don't expect you as the user to be a business valuation expert, so we want to give you all the tools necessary to, that business valuation to prospective clients and current clients and be effective as possible. Then we're going to look at the call script. Call script rate, we have a lot of people that get excited. They sign up for the tool. They understand how to use it, but don't really know where to get started. They don't know how to implement. Our first tip for implementation is always going to be, use a client you have a good relationship with, somebody that you already know, sort of have them as the guinea pig. It helps learn the system effectively, and you also get to see their questions and their reactions. So when you start presenting this to prospects or maybe clients you're not as comfortable with, you're sort of your old hand and you're experienced with the tool. So have call script, voicemail script, follow-up script. Scripts are great just because it's hard for people, our users, to really understand how to describe the tool. One thing I will say is they're great templates. I think if you're going to use the script out of the box and read it verbatim, it's pretty generic, and that'll lead to maybe some minimal success. But I think if you use this script, maybe tailor it to either your firm, sort of what you're providing, or tailor it to your audience. So, maybe if you decided to focus on manufacturing companies under 20 million, make the pitch specific to them, so it doesn't sort of sound like just a generic cold call. Sure, a lot of you get those throughout the day. I know I do. So the more specific it sounds, the more likely they are to at least hear you out. Email examples, do use the same school of thought. So great templates to start with. Really great way to sort of build a marketing campaign out there. But the more you can tailor it to your specific firm, your offering, or your audience, I think the more successful you'll be. Come here into marketing slicks. We already looked at top 10 reasons for business valuation. Here's sort of, what we have asking a lot is our users understand how to roll this out with clients, but also like to know how to roll it out with centers of influence. So if you're an insurance agent, maybe you have an accountant that you'd like to pair up with. This is sort of a briefer of what the technology is. So this isn't necessarily business owner facing. This is one of those tools that we think is great with centers of influence. So you're dealing with another professional who's working with business owners. This sort of gives them a walkthrough, a one-page walkthrough about what the tool is and how it can be used. Security features, so a lot of security-conscious clients out there. There's obviously been a lot of data hacks. This explains, how we protect the data that's put into our system. Again, right here at the bottom, tailor, make it specific to your own firm if you need to. Now we'll climb in here to the client-facing material. So what we have, the fact finder. This is probably the most requested document. We try to send it out to all of our users. Fact finder is the 7-step business valuation process in a PDF form. This is useful for maybe you have a client that might be a little more old school. They'd rather go pen to paper. Or maybe you're sort of at an initial meeting and the business owner wants to know what type of information he'd need to provide you. This is sort of a nice thing to print out. You can sort of show them exactly the questions that they're going to be answering. And hopefully, warms them up to the idea of a business valuation. Business valuation checklist. This is what a client or a prospective client should bring to a meeting, everything necessary to run a valuation. Move on here to the blog posts. These blog posts have been very popular, so we're trying to add a few more by the end of the year. Behind these are give you content to repurpose on your LinkedIn, social media, Facebook. Most of it's around, best business practices. It's not all going to be specific to business valuation. The idea being we're giving you content to repurpose so you can keep providing value to your connections. Postcards are great. You can order these directly through our Mimeo store right here. Maybe you want on a mail campaign. This kind of gives you the tools you need. You can order them. Again, just like everything else, you customize it to your own firm. Reports we sort of touched on. All different kinds of industries in here. Everything in here is based on fictitious businesses. There's no real data that you're compromising by showing this. We have all different values. We have, some service that's under $500,000 up to a manufacturing company worth over $100 million. Generally, when you're showing these, if you wanted to use a sample rather than your own test, I think it's best if you have a business, you have an idea of what it's worth, is to show them a business that's sort of in their realm and in their sphere. Social media images, these are great if you're running, again, LinkedIn campaigns, just looking for generic things to repurpose. Client-facing videos, these are really popular. A lot of our users put these in their email signature. They're both under 2 minutes. They're evaluation in general, animated, quick. which is the point, very concise. Marketing playbook's great. I don't really have time to, they're a little bit longer, but how to host an event. So think advisor presentation, that PowerPoint. The idea is that you're hosting some sort of lunch and learn. Maybe you have 10 or 12 prospects in the house. This walks you through, what to do when you're hosting an event. Some best practices on social media. Again, these aren't going to be specific just to BizEquity, but hopefully to your industry. Come here to the user guide. If you've been on the software for more than a year, it's been more than a year since you've been onboarded. The onboarding process is a little bit more concise now. So it's 3 YouTube videos. So we have the 7-step process, prospecting, the success center that we're going over today. This is great if you just need a quick refresher. We're always happy to schedule a call with you, but if you want to do it on your own, ask questions, kind of speaks for itself. Our support team here answers, about 70% of our questions are usually, pretty related to the same ideas. All of those are answered on here. So you have a question, you don't want to call, you don't want to email. The FQ is a great place to start. Training manuals, about 50 pages long, through the entire onboarding process in a PDF. For prospecting, so this is just quick, sort of a step-by-step, how to use the prospecting tool and what to do with it after you've done it. Look, this is a new addition in the last few months. Our CEO co-authored one of the best-selling on Amazon. It's available for download for any one of our users. It's all about why business valuation is important. White papers here. So these are great. You have a client that's maybe a little bit offensive about the idea. This kind of walks them through, how we protect all the data. One of the most popular things in here is the impact of owner departure. Health guides to valuing dental practices. This was written by Chief Valuation Officer, sort of a case study on specific things in dental practices when run evaluation. That's is very popular. Video webinars, self-explanatory. This webinar will be on there next week. Our second webinar is here, data entry process, Center 2.0. So anything that we've hosted in the past is going to be here. The documentations are terms and services. That's what buying print. Last thing I want to show you is the support center. What the support center is it's a interactive frequently asked questions database. Asset sale. If you're not sure what that is, here's the definition. This is updated weekly. So I just want to show you again how to get there. It doesn't matter what page in the Success Center you're on. The Support Center button is always going to be here on the right. So equity value versus enterprise value, there's the definition. Negative, enter a negative cash balance. There's the term. So that's a great place to start as well. If you have what you think might be kind of generic question, not specific to business valuation numbers, this is the place to start.